What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Adam. I'm back at you for hashtag homeless day 83. It's been a pretty interesting day or two. The body is healing, the mind is healing. Certainly, the mind is catching up to the body in terms of feeling better. Sometimes when you get exhausted from some sort of activity, some strenuous physical activity, it really can, if you're already in a fragile mental state, it can certainly bring you down into those negative thought patterns. And so I know this, and I understood this from the whole get-go, when I woke up Monday not feeling too great physically. You might hear this weird noise behind me. I don't know what that is. It's like some sort of pressure release valve on this building, and it goes off every couple of minutes. Maybe it's some sort of mechanism to keep the homeless people from sleeping in front of the building. I have no idea what that is. Every time I walk past this building, I hear the noise. But I kind of wanted to stick close to the shelter for a little bit this morning before I go to the library, and this is pretty close. So I'm just gonna do the video, and no matter where I am in Jamestown, you're gonna hear something in the background. So let's see. Yeah, so the mental state, it's getting better. It was due to just physical exhaustion the last few days, but I actually don't know if I can sit here and do this with that ridiculous noise in the background. Every time I hear it, it throws my train of thought out of whack. I might actually pack up and move to a different place. I hate this. All right, I'm doing it. All right, let's see how this goes. At least I won't be hearing psst, psst every 30 seconds to a minute. I have no idea what that noise is. It's like a release valve for an air compressor. And it is a bicycle shop, and it's the back of a bicycle shop where I was sitting. But I don't understand why they would have an air compressor set up to release air pressure every minute, 24 hours a day or less. Every minute or less. It doesn't make any sense. If an air compressor has a storage tank, let it get up to pressure and let it sit until someone needs to compress the air, until someone needs to fill up a tire. I don't understand that. It may be something else. Maybe there's an HVAC or somebody you can drop it down in the comments below, because I've been trying to figure out what that noise is for a long time. Because every time I walk past the building, you hear it. It's kind of ridiculous. Let's see here. I don't even know where to begin today. Let's see. So, let's see. I think today I'll start out the hashtag homeless video with some pre-plugs, some plugs to something that's on the way. Because yesterday I finally picked out a business name for my new graphic design and digital marketing business. I think it was about 5 or 6 days ago. I think it was last Thursday. Today's Wednesday. 6 days ago, was it? I don't know. I said I'm going to start a digital marketing business using a name that's separate from the name that I'm using for my professional user experience design portfolio. Because digital marketing and user experience design are two different things. User experience design is very specific to the software industry, and most people don't even know what it is. When people ask me, what did you do, or what was your job title? Senior user experience designer, lead user experience designer. Nobody knows what that is. But what it is, it combines a little bit of graphic design, but you're focused on creating an overall experience for a software product. And that includes the usability and the ability to complete tasks efficiently. And those are two aspects of probably 5 I could talk about when it comes to user experience design. Anything that would detract from a good experience would be in my wheelhouse to fix or create. And so think about it in terms of, I'm filling out job applications left and right. And like I was talking about, to apply for some of these six-figure jobs, I submit a resume and sometimes have to attach a cover letter. And that's pretty much it. Maybe answer a few basic questions, 15 minutes maybe. The cover letter ends up being the longest part of the process, and I have ways of speeding that up. Because, I don't know, people don't really read them, but you don't look professional if you don't send one. So I have ways of handling that efficiently and not wasting a lot of time. But when you're applying for some of these jobs like Burger King, Target specifically, when I applied for a job at Target, the online application using a laptop, it was 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. It was a bad user experience. Just some of the forms that you have to fill out are ridiculous, and the way that you have to click 20 times to enter in data when you should be able to design the same form to capture the same data and maybe do it in 5 clicks. And so that's what user experience design is all about. But for digital marketing, I want to offer graphic design services, logo design, traditional marketing, brochures, business cards, your letterheads, all your business collateral, marketing materials, plus your websites and anything to do with your online presence, maybe even handling some of your social media outreach, and whether it just be creating templates and graphics and images that you can use for that, or handling it outright. Anything that encompasses traditional and digital marketing, which is different than user experience design. Marketing is more promotional, trying to get attention to your business. And so I'm targeting small to medium-sized companies to become my clients. Businesses that have more of a budget than, just buy a website from Squarespace and set it up yourself. People who have more money to spend than that. But not the ridiculous budgets that a large company would have when they're paying $500,000 for a logo design, and they're hiring a team of 20 people at an ad agency to make that happen. I do know companies, I can name several companies that have spent more than, in some cases, millions of dollars on a logo design. But in reality, that logo design is a complete branding package. It's not just a logo. It's everything that goes with the logo, including a hundreds of pages long branding guidelines document that tells you how to use everything from typography and color usage to layouts, and maybe 10 different versions of the logo, because a company might need a black and white logo that looks good. Ideally, when I was young, learning logo design in graphic design class, the first thing you want your logo to do is typically, now this may not apply all the time this day and age, but you want to have a logo that if you had to send somebody a fax, if you're still using a fax machine, that logo should still look good in a fax. One color, black and white, crappy printing, and the logo should still be legible and look good. And then from there, you can create a full color version of the logo. You can create spot and process colors, different. You might have 6 or 7 different logo files of the same logo to be used in different applications. So that's the kind of stuff I'm looking to do for small to medium-sized companies. Businesses who don't have any presence at all, and they want to be seen and have professional-looking branding materials. And they're willing to pay somebody more than they're willing to pay to do it themselves. Somebody who understands that hiring a professional to do this is well worth the money that it costs, but but put it this way, I worked for the second biggest ad agency in Pittsburgh for a while. And they would not even talk to a prospect or a client or a potential customer unless they were spending at least $20,000. And if they were only going to be spending $20,000, they're going to hand your project over to the interns and to just, the bottom of the barrel in terms of their senior people are not going to be on that account. You're going to get the bottom of the barrel. And I'm not saying you're going to get a bad job. A a talented graphic design intern at an ad agency might do a real banging job on your logo. I mean, somebody just out of art school can be just as creative as somebody who's been doing it for 30, 40 years. So that's not a rip. But if you go to a big agency like that, first of all, they don't want to talk to you unless you're willing to spend big money. And unless you're spending 6 figures up to, 7 figures on your project or contract, you're not going to get their best talent on your project. And so my goal is to find the businesses that can support me and give me a place to live and a home base to branch out from. But then I can turn around and give you what you're looking for at a decent price. And when I say decent price, I'm not going to be the bottom of the barrel. You can go to Fiverr or Upwork, or there's probably a few other platforms. I know Behance has some sort of bidding war for graphic design. You can pay $20 for a logo. You can. I know you can. In fact, here's a quick quiz. How much did the graphic designer who created the Nike logo, one of the most iconic brands in the world, how much did that graphic designer get paid to design that logo for Nike? It was $25 from what I remember. Now, granted, Nike was not the big international company and brand that it is today, but the designer who created the Nike logo didn't get paid squat for that. So keep that in mind. But you can get a logo for $20. It doesn't mean, and you might get what you're looking for. But if you're looking for a professional who's going to work with you and can actually handle that side of your business and, provide you with professional looking material, pretty much anything that you're asking for. And if it's something I can't do, I know somebody who can. And the stuff that I can't do is really, I've been doing what I do for 30 years, so almost 30 years. And so, basically I'm looking for clients that are established enough that they understand that a really good set of branding materials and a good professional suite of marketing materials will help their business. And, someone who's willing to establish a relationship in that department, or at least, a long-term project that's more than just, 10 hours worth of work and then we're gone and we never talk again. So in terms of the pricing, I'm actually going to come up with some packages versus doing this as a quote on demand kind of a service. I'll give you a few ideas of what you can expect for, if you've only got $500, if you've got $1,500, if you've got $5,000 in your pocket, here's what you can get for that, and come up with a few different tiers of services that you can get. But anything above and beyond that would be a custom quoted job, and we would discuss everything from number of revisions to, it could even turn into, if everything's up in the air and you want me to do something that's kind of out of the box or something that really can't be predicted in terms of time, it might just be an hourly rate situation. So I want to be flexible with whoever wants to hire me, and we'll just go from there. But these days, a lot of smaller companies have budgets, and they want to know what things are going to cost up front, and it's reasonable it's within a reasonable amount of holding people to the agreements that we make up front in terms of the number of revisions and things like that. I think it's certainly possible to come up with plans that fit a variety of budgets. And I will also offer ongoing monthly maintenance packages and extended marketing plans where, I keep your website updated from month to month for a certain fee and provide you with the web hosting for that. I have a good web host that I can resell, and I get a discount based on the number of companies that I have hosting their websites with this web host. And the more I host with them, the cheaper it gets for me. But I can I can mark it up and handle everything for you. So if you have a problem, if something's not working, if the website goes down, whatever the case may be, you call me and I'll take care of it. And then this company has a dedicated tech support team that's really good at what they do. It's the main reason why I stick with that company. And But, if I can speak their language. And so if you're just looking for somebody who can take that stress off of your plate so you can focus on running your business, I'm the perfect candidate for that situation. And, monthly extended marketing plans, because, just because you build a website for your business, that doesn't mean that people are going to come. So at the most basic level, a website will be where you send people to get information about your business. It'll be listed on your business card. It'll be listed on your printed stuff that you're handing people. And your website will be a source of information to attract people to come back and look again, to promote your business, to inform your customer base with updates. Let's say you own a bar and a restaurant, or a bar/restaurant, and you have concerts and you have bands performing there. People might want to come to your website every month or every few weeks or every week to see what acts and what bands are coming up and playing. Maybe you sell through your website. Maybe you accept online orders if you're a restaurant, or purchases on an e-commerce site. I can help you set up a Shopify site, or we can do something with WordPress using a platform called WooCommerce, or there's 10 other platforms that we can use to set you up with a store. I can help you coordinate all of that without you having to figure it out yourself. And I think that's valuable for a lot of people, because even when you set up one of these Squarespace accounts or GoDaddy or any of these build it yourself things, you get in there and you find out, well, I still have to build it myself, and I still have to figure out how all this stuff works. And then you run into content. How do I fill this website up with content? And do I have the right pictures? And do I have this and that and the other thing? And so I'm really good at working with what you have and turning it into something. So if you don't have a lot of content, there's a way to build a website around not having a lot of content. That's what I'm going to have to do to get my business off the ground. There's going to be strategies in place, because I really don't have any clients right now, but I still have to show what I can do. So I've got some ideas for that. Or you might be a business that has tons of content, and it needs to be organized in such a way that people can sift through it and find what they're looking for. Two different situations, so I can handle both. So all of these things are on the table, from a basic, here I am and here's some basic information about us, to full e-commerce solutions. And whether I set something up that you then maintain yourself after it's done, with maybe some occasional hand-holding or a phone call here and there, or you have an online presence that you pay me to manage month to month, or you pay my team should things grow beyond what I can handle doing on my own from month to month. So all of that said, without further ado, here comes the drum roll. The name of my new company is Hard Rock Brand. The website is super easy to remember. The website's going to be located at hardrockbrand.com. And this is the name I picked. I spent 5 days. The name is good. It fits my personality. It's catchy. It's easy to remember. It says what I do. I'm working on your brand, and you're going to be a rock star. You're going to look like a rock star if you hire me to handle your branding. So it's perfect. I spent 5 days off and on brainstorming, an hour here, an hour there, researching available domain names. I have well over 100 available domain names that I could buy right now. None of them really spoke to me. None of them, I knew that when I found the one, it would be instantaneous, and I would go snatch it up without even running it past my friends that I was using as a sounding board. And so now, I told you all last weekend that I found a somewhat controversial domain name, and depending on how you view it and how it would be used, I decided to grab that one too, because it relates to the name I settled on for the business, and that domain name is brandparenthood.com. So the company name is Hard Rock Brand. The website will be at hardrockbrand.com. I already got a logo figured out for it and everything, but I also own the I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but I also bought the domain name because it was available, Brand Parenthood. So I could have set up a whole company around Brand Parenthood, but, I'd have to be careful with the slogan. I can't say something like, we're killing it, or killer brands here at Brand Parenthood. So, I can't say anything like that. And even so, I think that, that would be taking things way too far. And even if I took the lighter approach of something like incubating your brand, or whatever the case may be, the name is very controversial, and it's gonna drive away people. But I wanted to find something that, when I found the domain name Brand Parenthood, it stuck in my head because it's hilarious, right? And so, I even have a logo for that one already figured out. And I really wasn't even planning on using the word brand in the name of the company, to be honest. But after a really long path of experimenting with several hundred words and names and word combinations and just not being happy, when I found out that hardrockbrand.com was available, it was a no-brainer. I grabbed it within a couple of minutes. I kept Brand Parenthood on my growing list of favorites as I was doing this brainstorm over the last 5 days, because I wanted the ultimate name that I chose to be just as good and just as creative. I really didn't know I was going to have the word brand in it until I circled back around to experimenting with the word brand again yesterday, and then that domain name showed up as being available. We're done. That's it. It was that good. None of the other domain names that I came up with, as good as they were, I have dozens of acceptable, decent, good names that I could have used, but when that one popped up, I knew that was the end of it. I knew I wasn't going to find anything better. So, especially with a .com, it's really hard to get a .com domain name these days that's good. I came up with more than 10 good ones and even used AI tools to generate logo ideas for just about all of them. And most of them were really good, but none of them yelled at me to buy me right now until I came across hardrockbrand.com being available. I'm actually surprised the Hard Rock Cafe, which is hardrock.com, didn't grab that domain at some point to use it, even if it was for corporate purposes like style guides and branding documents like I was talking to you guys about. But now I own that domain name, and if they want it someday, well, it's going to cost them tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, for me to give it up and give it to them. So for now, that's the name of my new company. If anything, I might use the domain name, the brandparenthood.com, in conjunction with it. Maybe I'll make it a client login portal where clients can log in to see the progress of their projects, and it'll just be a login link when you land on that domain name. I don't know. Or maybe I'll do something totally trashy with it and integrate it with a meme-based Twitter or X account or whatever you call it. I don't really know what I'm going to do with it yet. I just couldn't leave brandparenthood.com sitting on the table when it only cost me $10 to own it for the next year. And if I don't use it over the next year, I don't know. Maybe I'll find something to use it for. I don't know yet, but I just couldn't leave it sitting on the table. Especially when I just purchased hardrockbrand.com. They more or less go together. So I felt like if I'm buying this one, I got to get them both. So, domain names, they're kind of like Pokemon. You want to collect them all. So if you're a rock star at Hard Rock Brand, it won't be long before you have a bunch of groupies and you're going to be shelling out money to Brand Parenthood in order to avoid paying all the money that you make from that business in child support. So, they kind of do go together. I already have logo designs for both, like I said. They're really good, both of them. So right now my focus is going to be to build out some sort of simple lead generation and capture funnel for Hard Rock Brand. And maybe I'll put a portfolio up there, but it'll have to be protected with a password, because I really can't use the work that's in my portfolio out in the open like that with a different company name attached to it, because all of that work in my portfolio was created for other companies over the years, other ad agencies, other corporations. And so I've signed agreements not to, parade that stuff around and just pretend like it was mine. And certainly I can't pretend that this company of mine created all this work. And so that's kind of a weird situation. There's lots of different ways around that. And to get things off the ground, I may just have to create a cool, fancy website that doesn't really show my portfolio and then has a link that says, ask me for a password. And then you contact me and I'll send you the password. So that kind of it makes it so that it's not in the public domain. It doesn't show up on Google searches and things like that. But I can still show my work to people. I just have to be careful how I do it. And then once I have 5 or 6 clients that I've built things for with Hard Rock Brand as the company that did it, then I'll update my website to have an actual portfolio that the public can come and look at. And so, one thing I can do on the homepage is have a block with a bunch of logos and prominent companies that I've worked for over the years. And I'm really going to need to spend some time just researching and trying to remember all of them, because I've worked for lots of big companies over the years. Just off the top of my head, if I were to name 5, Genesee Beer, Kodak, Rubbermaid, let's see, Paychex was another place I've worked for. PNC Bank, they were a client of mine for years and years. Other banks, Mellon Bank, PNC Bank, so many more I can't even. Westinghouse. I could probably come up with 20 to 25 company logos and actually be able to prove that I did work for them and I can show you, here's what I did for those guys. So, once again, the website will be at hardrockbrand.com, and if you want to be a rock star, give me a call. If you have a business, you want to look like a rock star, I'm your guy. It's that simple. So, moving on, still killing time before the library opens. I had a few minutes this morning, once again, a little peace and quiet time to get into Jesus Calling, the book by Sarah Young that I've been reading to you guys more and more. And the stuff that was in the book this morning, it spoke to me once again. For today, August 7th, this is what Jesus had to say to me through that book. Understanding will never bring you peace. That's why I've instructed you to trust in me, not in your understanding. Human beings have a voracious appetite for trying to figure things out in order to gain a sense of mastery over their lives, but the world presents you with an endless series of problems. As soon as you master one set, another pops up to challenge you. The relief you had anticipated is short-lived. Soon your mind is gearing up again, searching for understanding or mastery instead of seeking me, your master. The wisest of all men, Solomon, could never think his way through to peace. His vast understanding resulted in feelings of futility rather than in fulfillment. Finally, he lost his way and he succumbed to the will of his wives by worshiping idols. My peace is not an elusive goal, hidden at the center of some complicated maze. Actually, you are always enveloped in peace, which is inherent in my presence. As you look to me, you gain awareness of this precious peace. And so, just to talk about that for a minute, the beginning of it, understanding will never bring you peace. How many times have I said in these videos, I wish I could understand this, I wish I could understand that, and then sometimes I just roll my eyes and say, some things aren't meant to be understood when it comes to like things that women do. If you're trying to understand something that a woman did to you, that you may as well try to be answering the question, why are the sun and the moon the exact same size in the sky? And how is it that the moon is set on a path that every now and then it completely covers the sun, except for that tiny little ring around the sun, because they are the exact same size in the sky? How come the moon isn't slightly bigger or slightly smaller or vice versa with the sun? And how exactly is it that the Earth is in just the right spot, just the exact right spot in relation to the distance to the sun and the size of the sun, that we can sustain life on this planet, but if it were any farther away or any closer, everything would burn up and this planet would be just a wasteland, and any further away it would be too cold. So like how that's you'd have an easier time figuring all that out than trying to understand some of the things that a woman did to you. And so like some things, once again, understanding will never bring you peace, and honestly some things are just not meant to be understood. And so I'm trying to understand a lot right now, and this is God telling me, you know what, don't bother, dude. It's not it's not worth knowing. It's not worth knowing. And a lot of that, I talk about don't worry. How many times do I talk about do not worry and the side effects of fear? Well, today's In Touch magazine for the daily devotional, the title is The Side Effects of Fear. And it says, when anxious moments come, choose to trust and follow your loving Heavenly Father. Okay. And it says, we all experience fear at some point, but when it's an ongoing struggle, there can be far-reaching effects. And here are some ways that apprehension creates chaos in our life and impacts others. Fear stifles thoughts and actions. It creates indecisiveness that results in stagnation. Lost opportunities cause erosion of confidence, and the downward spiral begins. When I talk about being paralyzed by fear, sometimes your inaction and the fact that you're letting your worries and your fears stop you from doing anything. You just sit down and try to relax, and you can't focus on anything, and so you do nothing. It creates lost opportunities and lost confidence, and you end up in a downward spiral where if you had just powered through it, you might have been able to get through whatever it was that you were fearful of. Fear can also be a roadblock to God's plans for us. If we yield to negative emotions and self-doubt, we cannot achieve the goals He has in mind for us. So, once again, basically just saying the same thing, it's a roadblock. If God wants you to do something and you're just too afraid to get up off your butt and do it, then, God's not going to force you to get off the couch and do something. He might point you in the right direction. He does things for me a lot, but, there's times where I've talked about a job just fell into my lap. And it's more, I think the better way to describe it is the opportunity fell into my lap. But I still had to do the work to get the job. I may have had to stay up for a few nights without sleep in order to do the things that had to be done in order to get the job, et cetera, et cetera. Fear can lead to destructive habits. To numb the pain of overbearing stress and foreboding, some turn to destructive habits for temporary and artificial relief. Drugs. People like to get high when they're nervous and scared and overwhelmed. And depending on your drug of choice, it can have a very destructive effect in your life. How many people become alcoholics because they're just trying to drink away their pain and their fears? I mean, that at a basic level. I'm not even talking about the illegal stuff. So, fear steals peace and contentment. When you're regularly afraid, your life becomes centered on pessimism and gloom. And so, I get into those modes. You saw it Monday. You saw it a little bit yesterday. I think I'm feeling a little better today. But if you stay in that pessimist and gloom state, it's going to be really destructive in your life if you're constantly there. I have the ability to get out of it when I'm in it. For me, it's more like an up and down kind of a roller coaster ride. I'm not always doom and gloom. I'm not always in that state of mind. Today, I'm really not in that state of mind. I feel overwhelmed today because there's a lot of things I have to do, and there's not enough time to do it. So I got to figure some things out. And there's a lot of unknowns about. I'm waiting for word about Texas. that's really starting to eat away at my peace, my mental peace. I want to know for sure, one way or another. It's been, April 2nd was the day I got out of prison, and I haven't had one stable day since that day I got out of prison. Not a single day where I felt like I had any kind of stability at all. It's just been a wild ride of I don't even know the word for it, but it's hard not to fall into that doom and gloom state of mind when you're going through something like this. And lastly, fear creates doubt. God promises a satisfying life, but if we live in fear, we most likely won't experience the abundance he offers. Our Heavenly Father feeds the birds of the air. I say this all the time. And he clothes the grass with the splendor of lilies. How much more, then, will he care for you and me, who are made in his image? Our only concern should be to obey God and to leave all the consequences to him. And so, when you live in fear, you may miss out on what he's trying to give you. And so, I do fall into these. I have doubts. There are times, even in the last, I could absolutely say, even within the last week, there have been times where I just walk around thinking and saying to God that, well, I guess, God's just had enough of me. And he doesn't want to, he's like, I've had enough of you. I'm not going to do anything else for you anymore. We're done. You messed up. You screwed up your life. I gave you every opportunity in the world leading up to that moment, and you threw it away. Why should I bother helping you again? I go through that thought process many, many times because it does feel like God doesn't care sometimes. And it feels like God's like, you know what? I gave you every chance in the world and you messed it up. I'm done with you. Get out of my face. Go be homeless, you piece of trash. I got nothing else for you. I'm not going to help you anymore. But then I do get little signs. I get just little signs. Nothing big yet. But I get like, I need something. And it's a pretty basic need. But I don't know how I'm going to do it. And then all of a sudden the means to get that need met fall into my lap. And, like I said, I'm not going hungry. In fact, I've gained some weight in the last 2 to 3 weeks that I've got to chill. I got to chill on the food right now. I did a little bit too much stress eating over the last few weeks, and I'm feeling it physically. So I got to step away from the table after a single plate. I can't go back for seconds. I gotta not eat the junk, and it's really hard when you have an EBT card and the only thing available is junk food because you can't really go grocery shopping and then I don't have a place to store groceries. So eating healthy has become really difficult since I've been homeless. But eating's not the problem. It's eating well that's the problem. So, but just anytime I need like some basic thing, it seems like God just drops it into my lap. But the job is nowhere to be found right now. And the big things that I need, a job, a place to live, and all that kind of stuff, it's just up in the air still. And so I have faith that he will come through. He's come through more than once in my life, but I'm worn out while I'm waiting. And it's getting really hard to sit here and wait without any kind of... But there are things in the works. This Texas thing, I could get a phone call any minute. Today, tomorrow, I'm hoping sometime this week. Because I don't know, I'm the kind of person that has a hard time with a maybe. I have an easier time hearing no for an answer. Maybe tell me in the comments below here if you agree with what I'm saying right now. It's a lot harder to deal with someone when they're telling you maybe than if they were to tell you no. If they tell you no, whatever it is, whatever the case may be, you're waiting to hear back from a job opportunity, you're waiting to hear back from the probation department on whether you can move to Texas or not. You're waiting for, you go out on a date and you have a good time with this girl and she's kind of giving you this maybe attitude. Well, and if that's the case with, maybe is basically a no in that situation, but maybe the vagueness of it, well, maybe there's a chance, maybe there's not. You know, this job, this company that's been stringing me along for 9 weeks, telling me that I'm still in the running for it, but we don't, you know, like, they're not telling me no, but they're not telling me yes. And the maybe is way worse. It's way worse hearing a maybe every time. If they would tell me no, it would sting and it would suck, and then I'd file it away and I'd be able to move on and start fresh and put it out of my head. But when this, like, never-ending maybe, well, maybe, well, maybe, well, maybe, when they keep saying maybe over and over again, that drives me crazy. So I'm having a real hard time. There's too many maybes sitting on the table right now. And really, if I really analyze what's going on in my head, there's so many people telling me maybe right now that it's driving me insane with just, well, make up your mind. Because I would rather hear no than maybe. And since I'm on the topic of talking about Jesus and Jesus calling and all that, yesterday's entry, when I was talking about when things seem to be going wrong, stop and affirm your trust in me. And it talks about, as you trust in me, I make you feel like the feet of a deer. I enable you to walk and make progress upon your high places of trouble, suffering, or responsibility. Another part of that, yesterday I talked about how when things seem to be going wrong, just stop and trust me. But I didn't even, I didn't talk about how the second half of that spoke to me. The part where, as you trust in me, I make your feet like the feet of a deer. I enable you to walk and make progress upon your high places of trouble. I was having a hard time walking yesterday and Monday for sure. I could barely walk on Monday. I was walking with like a severe limp on Monday because my feet were so beat up from what I put them through on Sunday. And I just thought that was really ironic that he literally talks to me. I make your feet like the feet of a deer, nimble and quick. I enable you to walk. I enable you to walk when I'm reading this on the day where I can't walk because my feet hurt so bad. And I'm still, right now, physically, I'm fine in terms of energy and everything, but my feet are completely, I've got blood blisters, calluses that need to be cut off. I've got corns on several toes. It's bad. My feet are bad. So even these new boots aren't, nothing I put on my feet right now. I can put a pair of Crocs on my feet, which are really comfortable, and my toes are just in constant pain because it's been 12 weeks of walking 5 to 10, sometimes, up to 12 miles a day. And it's really, and I have bad feet to begin with. So, and then when those boots that I was wearing got worn out completely, they were doing a lot more damage to my feet. And so now I need to try and stay off my feet a little bit. And I've got corn removers stuck to my toes and they're stinging. And there's just, it's kind of ironic that Bible, that Jesus calling paragraph specifically talked about, I enable you to walk. Because I was having a hard time just walking. So I thought that was pretty ironic. My feet are far from the feet of a deer. And, by the time I got those new boots on Sunday, my feet were wrecked. So the benefit of getting new boots, it was too late. The damage was already done. And so it still hurts to walk. But it's getting better. Each day since I bought these boots has been getting a little better than the day before. The weight of the boots, I'm not feeling it as much today. They are heavy boots. Even when I pick them up off the ground, they're heavy. They're not... I certainly would not want to hike the Appalachian Trail with these boots on my feet. But they're good boots. They're rugged. They're waterproof. I walked right through some water yesterday. Nothing. Didn't get a drop through. Nothing leaked. I gave them a little test, put it that way. And, so they'll be fine for what I'm going to need to use them for the next, 3 months until they wear out completely. So I don't know, man. With the uncertainty of where I am right now and not even knowing where I'm going to be living, it does kind of paralyze me in certain ways mentally. And we just talked about that. I don't know how much effort to even put in looking for a job in Jamestown anymore. That's just one thing. Every time one of these, you might have to pack your bags and leave situations come up, it tells me it's not worth looking for a job here anymore. Look for a remote job. That's just one thing. I don't think it's been fair at all that I've been thrown into this much chaos since I came out of prison. But I'm far from the only person to get released from prison just to be tossed into the street like a worthless piece of trash with no assistance or no options. And at least I am getting some assistance from people who do care. And I do appreciate it. I really do. But there is a side of it where, I've set up my whole life. There's nothing that you're going to get in this world for free that doesn't come with some sort of cost. So there's always some sort of price to pay in exchange for anything that is perceived to be free, whether it's free money or a free place to stay or whatever the case may be. And sometimes the cost is worse than the money you would pay to just pay for something that you need. So as far as the gratitude, I'm thankful that you guys, the super fans, made it this far. If you're still watching, I'm thankful that that God has intervened in my life enough that I still have faith that he's going to come through and fix this situation. I'm thankful for my good health. I'm thankful that I can still handle walking everywhere I go, even though I've got some beat up feet right now. I'm thankful to be in the running for a couple of different jobs, but I really don't know anymore. I don't know what to do about them. I don't know how often. I don't know if I should just stop reaching out and just put them away. And if they call me someday, they call me, but I don't know. I'm thankful for not being forced to sleep outside, even though sometimes I want to. And I'm thankful that the food has been plentiful. I'm having a harder time keeping the weight off right now. So that just tells you food is here. Food is available. I'm not starving. I'm thankful that I have all the equipment that allows me to keep doing this, and the local library and the church that I've been going to. Thankful that I haven't had any serious problems with the probation or any of that stuff. And I'm thankful that I have a good friend and his wife who are offering me a place to stay as long as they'll let me go. I'm just going to end with a few standard plugs. The mailing list is free.litgood.com. Sign up for the email list. I still haven't sent out an email, so you're not going to get spam. When I get 20 photos up on the stores, I'll send a deal out to all of you, but I'm only going to send it to the mailing list, so get on there. Shop.litgood.com. If you can't wait and you want to get some fine art to hang on your wall, that's where you go. And the photography, if you want to check that out, it's litgood.com. And if you want to bookmark it in advance, my graphic design and marketing business will be located at hardrockbrand.com. And once again, last but not least, oh, hey, buddy, how you doing? Oh,
sorry, man.
Oh, he's cool. How you doing, buddy? All right. Yeah, he's a little excited. All right, so, oh my goodness, once again, this day, it never ends. Anyway, once again, the digital chicken bucket, should you decide you just want to drop a few bones in there. And I got some thank you messages to send out today, that's for sure. Once again, that address is donate.litgood.com. And the only social media site I'm going to push right now, go down in the description below and check me out on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. If you want a never-ending supply of memes, the best, freshest most awesome memes that you can find online, most up to date and current. I'll be updating that throughout the day, every day. It's one of the social media platforms that I keep getting new followers on every day. And so I feel like there's potential for that to grow. I'm not feeling like I want to pay for an account just yet. Maybe that'll come in maybe a month or two, I'll change my mind. But for right now, I'm just trying to get up to 200-300 followers on there. I'm closing in on 100. Help me meet my goal. And if you're not on X and Twitter, I'm really not a big fan of any of the big platforms right now. But if you're looking to go back in the day where memes were plentiful and people were really speaking their mind, and I did go to Twitter jail for 12 hours last week. So I'm not saying it's perfect, but I mean, if you're on Facebook, man, the only thing that you're seeing is Karen complaining about every post